What's coming up for you in the next 2 months? Interesting. So, there's a massive jackass currently actively, aggressively, egregiously, spiritually violating me in order to cause a complete delay and block in anything at all actually good for me coming for at least the next 2 months of my life, if not permanently, where any kind of deadline they ever promise is something they intentionally, utmost maliciously are plotting to bring my demise by somehow portraying to others, entirely behind my back and without my knowledge or consent. They might also generally try to cause this delay and blockage without even giving any real deadline or timeline at all, and try really hard to hide when they seriously should be giving a solid deadline, and one that's a lot earlier than whatever they're even considering conveying to others as at all reasonable. The fact that you've been going down a self love path has another secretly admiring you, secretly watching you. So they try to cause confusion around if they're watching me is admiring me or for other reasons, when it's definitely not really admiration and is actually utmost malicious in nature, while they're also even trying to hide if they're even watching me at all from others, and almost certainly also even trying to hide it from me too, perhaps especially from me. This person's very curious about you, so they go to great lengths to try to hide any curiosity they have about me, most likely because of how malicious in nature it would be. They're trying to avoid ever even having to provide any kind of explanation to anyone for it. They also could be not actually curious at all because they already know everything they actually really want to know about me for their malicious plots against me, and they mask the malice by pretending it's a genuine curiosity of some kind. Even if the reason is negative, they misrepresent me to try to make it look like I deserve that negative curiosity of theirs. I'm sensing that this person is different than your usual type. So they either maliciously, intentionally misrepresent what my type even is, or they don't even really know. Or they don't even really care, and they're pretending it's relevant to hide their malice, or a combination of those things. They definitely are intentionally trying to force someone they know that I won't actually like onto me, to try to control me and rob me of my soul. Whoever this is, you have met them before. So either they're egregiously exploiting having met me before somehow, or they haven't actually met me before, but they're so desperate to try to control and destroy me that they're going to great lengths to misrepresent us as having met before. They're probably also misrepresenting or intentionally causing chaos around what exactly should be considered me meeting them. In your mindset, you've had this wondering, like, am I settling with this person? I could probably get somebody so much better looking. So, if it's a man, they're either just blatantly maliciously lying or extremely delusional. Period. If they're a female, that anyone ever even had any even remotely adequate reason to believe I actually have any real physical attraction towards at all, they've been trying to hide that I genuinely saw them as among the most physically attractive people I could ever fathom existing from the moment I first saw them. and that they never had any actually good reason to believe I'd feel like I'm settling if I was with them. And they know it, if not with absolute certainty, with a very high amount of certainty, that they're egregiously denying. And they're doing that to hide that they never actually saw me that way, and never will, and even to this day do not at all. They're extremely shallow and fake, and are desperately trying to project it onto me by trying to make it seem like my rejection of them is some extremely arrogant, egotistical, shallow thing. Either their perception of me ever being physically attracted to them is an utmost malicious, intentional, complete lie, an extreme delusion they're at this point very well aware they're hallucinating about, or something they've seen as an entirely unpleasant burden that they only ever want to exploit for selfish gain, entirely at my expense, entirely against my consent. I'm seeing the more you get to know this person, the better looking they actually become. So they're lying egregiously about what actually makes someone attractive to me in general. I've never, and I mean literally never, felt that anyone has seemed better looking the more I get to know them. They either look physically attractive to me or not. And if how physically attractive I find them to be ever changes, it must be because they substantially physically changed how they look, not because I somehow got to know them better. I've literally never even claimed otherwise either, to anyone, ever. So they're probably either really indecisive or uncertain about what they actually like physically in an intimate partner, or they maliciously lie about it for their own selfish gain to use people, or both, and they've been trying to make it look like I'm like that to hide their malice towards me. Whoever this is, they've been holding on to you, watching you over the scenes. It's somebody you rejected. So they're trying to hide that they're extremely abusively trying to endlessly hold on to my energy, entirely at my expense, entirely against my consent, and that they're watching me while feeling a sense of superiority over me in doing so, and probably even misrepresenting if I even really rejected them at all, and or the true nature of the rejection. You might not think they're your type, but emotionally and spiritually connected, they are definitely going to be your type. So they know that I know they're definitely not compatible with me, at least certainly emotionally and spiritually. But they've been trying to force an emotional and spiritual connection between me and them to try to trap me into behaving somehow in a manner where I unintentionally come off like they're my type emotionally and spiritually. And they're trying to make it look like I did so intentionally. So have the courage to move forward in change. Have the courage to try something different, knowing that when you try something different, you're going to choose something different, which will make a different outcome in your life than what you have been choosing, and it's going to turn out a lot better than what you've been thinking. So they're really trying to run their mouth and yap a bunch of complete garbage about whatever bullshit they think they can spew to me in order to try to convince me to completely ignore my own very much accurate intuition when it comes to them and the situation they've tried to trap me in with them, especially when it comes to treating them and the chaos they try to bring into my life and have permanently persist in my life with utmost malice, somehow differently than I have in the past. And they're trying to make me seem like I'm a coward for not allowing it. So they're hiding their immense malice there by egregiously misrepresenting my sharp intuition and high level of awareness as being massive cowardice. In reality, they are the massive coward, and they're really trying to hide that me embracing the kind of change they're trying to force me to embrace would actually bring me results much worse than what anyone helping them do this to me thinks. Angels are saying there's a mirroring situation here, so put yourself in the other person's shoes. Try to view them as if they are you. So, this jackass is egregiously divination abusing to try to get away with egregiously misrepresenting me as if I'm a sociopath or a psychopath that's largely, if not entirely, incapable of genuinely empathizing with others. Or they just generally act like I, for some reason, refuse to try to look at things from their perspective, most likely portraying me as doing it for malicious reasons, or at the very least, extreme immaturity, to hide how they intentionally ignore and neglect my perspective because of them having both malice and immaturity in dealing with me. It's almost like you rejecting yourself when it comes to this energy. So they're trying to make it seem like I hate myself and or I'm compromising my integrity somehow if I refuse to embrace this extremely toxic and fake energy. When in reality, the complete opposite is the real reason why I'm rejecting it. They're probably rejecting themselves, so basically throwing away their own authenticity, to do this to me. But that's not my fault and shouldn't be my problem. I am seeing distance between you and them. So they've been egregiously misrepresenting the distance between us, probably claiming there hasn't really been any at all, or it was only a little or something, when in reality it's been massive. And most likely been like that for a very long time, like multiple years, maybe even about a decade or more. And there is going to be an offer of loyalty that comes in. So they have absolutely no real desire, intent, or even willingness to actually offer me any extent of real loyalty. They try to make me look like the problem by trying to twist things to make it look like I'm the one with commitment issues or somehow generally inclined to not be loyal to someone who deserves loyalty. In reality, it's them. But right now, they're just holding back. They're not that they're afraid to talk to you, but they're very wary of pushing you or chasing you and then having you run away. They want you to come to them at the right time. So they're hiding that they're intentionally, maliciously holding back their energy from me by making it seem like I'm doing that to them. They're very much afraid to talk to me, and they know that fully clearly, but egregiously misrepresented to others. They try to make it seem like my being wary to interact with them at all, and me wanting to run away from them, is somehow them being justified in being wary to interact with me and wanting to run away from me. They know they're pushing me away and making it exceedingly stupid for me to ever chase them with how they're behaving, that I should be running away from them. They make no time the right time to ever approach them, but make it seem like I'm plotting for some ideal time to approach them, while they're trying to completely avoid ever facing circumstances of there ever being a right time for them to approach me at all, or for me to approach them. They do have personal inner childhood wounds when it comes to rejection and intimacy, and that's just emotional intimacy. So they hide the fact that they have unhealed wounds from childhood that persist to this day by egregiously violating my energy relentlessly. And they're hiding even the fact that they keep it personal to themselves and have never even really told me much, if anything, at all about those wounds. The wounds most likely relate to rejection and intimacy. Unless they're such a massive narcissist, they completely made up the wounds in order to play victim to try to control and destroy me how they are. Either way, the wounds they're somehow portraying themselves to have, whether genuine or not, are almost certainly in reality beyond just emotional intimacy. They're a little just worried that if they say something too soon, it's gonna just cause you to run away. So they're constantly trying to apply pressure on my life to force me to say something to them under circumstances where it's going to be framed negatively and negatively impact my life. And then they maliciously run away and act like it's righteous while twisting things to make it seem like my rightful backing off from them and avoiding them is somehow me having maliciously intentionally harmed them and now trying to avoid karma. Angels really want you to listen to your intuition with this, because whoever this is, I do see a reconciliation coming in that's gonna bring true happiness. So they want to absolutely decimate my spiritual vision and then force me to have to desperately blindly trust whatever I'm hearing that they're trying to manipulate me into seeing as angels or some kind of positive guiding force or something like that. And they're doing it to avoid ever having to actually have a reconciliation with me or even really having to come back into my life or do anything actually good for me ever. They're trying to completely, brutally, absolutely unconditionally rob me of true happiness permanently and hiding it by acting like they're giving it to me while in reality giving me the complete opposite. 222 on the timer. So they're currently divination abusing with the number 222 to entirely non-consensually detrimentally impact the timing of things in my life. A new relationship connection is coming in, and you have to give somebody a chance who you kind of blew them off in the past a bit. So they're trying to hide that I don't actually have to give them a chance to come back into my life. And they're doing that to hide that I didn't actually reject them how they're claiming I have in the past. And also to egregiously misrepresent the real reasoning behind why I distanced myself from them to whatever extent I distanced myself from them at any point in time. I'm not saying you have to force yourself to do anything you don't want to do. So they're really trying to force me to do something they know that I really don't want to do, entirely against my consent, fully knowingly, with utmost malice, and hiding it by acting like they're actually trying to leave me with a choice. But there are really positive secrets that your angels have for you if you're willing to bring change into your life. So they're trying to hide that there are either no real secrets for me to reveal, or perhaps much more likely, only really negative secrets I'd have revealed to me if I'm ever willing to embrace the kind of change they want me to allow them to cause in my life. Because whoever this is, they are a life partner individual. So they're desperately trying to hide that they are most certainly not someone I should ever see as a life partner material, whether or not I may have ever actually seen them as such, romantically and or otherwise. You just really have to trust in your angel's divine timing. So they're trying to leave me in a situation where I absolutely must not trust whatever messaging they're trying to send me, and then trying to force me to have to trust it anyway, and trying to act like I willingly, intentionally put myself in that situation because my spiritual insight is supposedly just that trash. So in the next 2 months, there's going to be some kind of communication with this individual. So they're desperately trying to act like this egregiously, utmost, exclusively malicious, complete blockage they're trying to cause in my life is somehow going to have them communicating with me after it's lifted, while knowing they never intend to allow it to be lifted. They never intend to do the communication they're trying to pretend they will, and most certainly not for the right reasons, even if they somehow end up doing it. And if they do end up communicating with me, they most certainly feel forced to do so, to try to avoid their extremely negative karma for doing what they've been doing to me with all this absolutely unhinged insanity. Whether that even be letting you know, like, yeah, I've been spying on you over social media, but I like what I'm seeing. So they especially don't want to ever admit to me that they've been stalking me on social media. And they're really trying to hide that it's their worst nightmare that I'm posting what I'm posting. That they absolutely despise me for it in reality. There's going to be an apology that comes in from both sides from kind of dismissing this really quickly. So they're extremely egregiously lying that I owe them any kind of apology, as if I very wrongly, very quickly, completely dismissed their potential for any role in my life they ever had any even remotely reasonable or adequate reason to believe they'd actually ever be deserving of having, when I never did so. To hide that they did that to me. Remember the mirroring situation? This is a twin flame soul connection. So, not only are they trying to project their own sociopathic or psychopathic lack of a real empathy onto me, they're trying to twist it onto me so badly that they make it seem like it means I don't even know a deep, meaningful, positive spiritual connection when I see it. When in reality, that's the truth for them. Once there's true, genuine love for the self, then there will be able to extend in your heart over to this person. So they're extremely egregiously lying to misrepresent what true, genuine love for myself looks like, to make it look like the complete opposite of what it actually looks like. Because they're trying to break my heart and rob me of my soul by exploiting my generally loving nature and hiding it by trying to portray themselves as the loving, healing earth angel that I'm the one who actually is. There is air sign energy and fire sign energy as being significant. So Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and Sagittarius, Aries, Leo. So they're knowingly, intentionally, utmost maliciously trying to allow and push Aquarius, Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo energies into my energy to relentlessly, viciously, egregiously violate it, knowingly, entirely against my consent and entirely to my detriment, while generally making it look like I deserve it because of supposedly being seriously spiritually lacking in standing. They are the ones seriously lacking spiritual standing. They're trying to throw all these other energies into this because they've always been desperately trying to hide it. 333 on the timer. So they're also currently divination abusing with the number 333, again, to entirely non-consensually detrimentally impact the timing of things in my life. Everything they've been doing, involving all the stuff I just mentioned, it was all always happening entirely to my detriment and entirely against my consent. And they knew it.